The longer the silence stretched, the heavier it became, settling over the neighborhood like desert dust that refuses to be swept away. And by the time the third wave of investigators rotated through the scene, fatigue had begun to sharpen into something more dangerous: pressure, the kind that creeps into decision-making rooms and whispers that answers must come faster than evidence allows. And inside the secured perimeter, specialists in forensics moved with almost ritual precision, photographing doorknobs again, lifting latent prints again, combing through the yard inch by inch, not because they had failed before, but because experience teaches that breakthroughs often hide in repetition, in the overlooked angle, in the detail dismissed too quickly during the chaos of the first hours. And outside the tape, cameras remained fixed, commentators debated procedure versus instinct, and the emotional current running through the story intensified as the public tried to reconcile how a home could feel both central and inaccessible at the same time. And it was in this tightening atmosphere that the broader question about securing the property took on symbolic weight, not as an accusation, but as a reflection of collective anxiety. Because when something happens in a private space, that space becomes sacred ground for truth, and any uncertainty about its protection amplifies fear that the truth itself might slip away unnoticed. And yet investigators, bound by protocol and legal thresholds, could not act on emotion alone. They needed warrants, documentation, methodical chain of custody procedures that protect cases in court long after headlines fade, which means every action must be defensible, every delay explainable, every decision anchored in law rather than urgency. And that tension between what feels immediately necessary and what is procedurally sound became the invisible undercurrent shaping every move behind the scenes. As days progressed, analysts began reconstructing timelines with microscopic care, layering cell phone pings, security camera timestamps, vehicle movements, and witness recollections into a mosaic that still lacked its center. And this is where investigative storytelling becomes almost cinematic in its own right, because you have detectives staring at glowing screens in dimly lit rooms, pausing footage at 2:13 a.m., rewinding to 2:11, cross-referencing with dispatch logs, asking themselves not only what happened, but what almost happened, what near miss or subtle anomaly might reveal intent. And when you look at a case like this through that lens, you understand that securing a home is not a one-time act, but an evolving process, a tightening circle of scrutiny that deepens as new information surfaces. And though some observers argued that the perimeter should have remained untouched until absolute closure, law enforcement understands that investigations are fluid, that scenes expand and contract as evidence dictates. And so while the outside world sees a house, investigators see a living puzzle, each room a potential chapter, each object a silent witness waiting to be translated into data. And amid that complexity, family members endure a different kind of waiting, one that measures time not in procedural steps, but in heartbeats, in sleepless nights punctuated by the sound of news alerts, hoping that the next update carries resolution instead of repetition. What often goes unseen in high-profile disappearances is the psychological toll on those tasked with solving them, because beyond the flashing lights and press briefings lies an ecosystem of analysts, patrol officers, search coordinators, and supervisors who must compartmentalize emotion to preserve clarity. And when public scrutiny intensifies, every choice feels magnified, every statement dissected for hidden meaning, which is why securing a residence becomes not only a technical matter, but a reputational one, a reflection of institutional competence under a microscope. And in this case, the discussion surrounding the home security echoed across commentary panels and online forums, not as verified fault, but as a mirror of public fear, the instinctive belief that if the space where someone vanished is guarded fiercely enough, answers will inevitably follow. Yet reality is rarely that linear, because evidence does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, buried in digital traces or subtle behavioral inconsistencies. And investigators must chase those whispers with patience that can appear frustratingly slow from the outside. Even as inside the command center, the pace feels relentless. Meanwhile, community involvement intensified, volunteers organizing search grids across desert washes and vacant lots, their footsteps carving temporary paths through scrub and sand, a testament to collective resolve, and each organized sweep reinforced the gravity of the situation. Because when ordinary citizens dedicate their weekends to scanning terrain, it signals that the case has transcended individual tragedy and entered communal responsibility. And yet, even here, Coordination matters, as law enforcement must balance public goodwill with preservation of potential evidence, ensuring that well meaning efforts do not inadvertently disturb clues, and so the perimeter around the home remained both a physical and symbolic boundary, representing the disciplined core of an investigation surrounded by emotional urgency. And in that contrast lies the heart of the narrative. A community driven by instinctive protection and professionals guided by structured protocol, both aiming for the same outcome, but traveling different psychological paths to reach it. As speculation ebbed and flowed, officials maintained carefully measured communication, neither confirming beyond verified facts nor dismissing public concern outright, because transparency and discretion must coexist in delicate equilibrium, and in press briefings the language remained deliberate, ongoing investigation, active leads, forensic analysis continuing. Phrases that may sound repetitive, but serve as anchors in turbulent waters, preventing misinformation from overtaking method. And behind those phrases lies an intricate choreography of lab reports, evidence logs, interagency coordination, and strategic planning sessions where options are debated and scenarios modeled, all while the clock continues its indifferent march forward, reminding everyone involved that time can both clarify and complicate, preserving evidence in one moment and eroding memories in the next.